Hi everyone, Namaste and welcome to today's session. ECDF and I, Yati Parmar, Zonal Head ECDF and your moderator for this panel, welcomes you all for this pivotal topic on facing challenges together, raising secure children in an uncertain world. So this webinar will be emphasizing that now is not a time to panic, but rather it's time to prepare, be vigilant, and help our kids be strong and do all we can to prevent the state of uncertainty and fear. Taking it ahead, I would like to introduce you all with our culturally and geographically diversified panelists, the epitome of beauty with brains. We have three beautiful ladies here with us. We have on panel Dr. Jaya Parekh, Principal Ram Ratna National School, Mumbai, School Leader Awardee, A Territory Head. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Yati. It's my pleasure. Namaste. And thanks to everyone for being here today. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's glad to have you, ma'am.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Next, we have Dr. Vasavi Acharya, Founder Chairperson ECDF, hailing from Guwahati, Assam.
Hello, everyone. A very good evening
Hi.
to everyone. Hi, Yati.
So,
Hi,
next we
Jaya.
have...
Hello, and thank you, Yati and Dr. Acharya.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Adawi Muniki, experienced early years practitioner, founder Solid Schools, Nigeria, but she's not able to join us right now due to some technicalities, and I think our people are helping her to join soon. So, shall we take our session ahead, or shall we wait for her to first join?
I think you can take it ahead. But in the
Okay.
meantime, she can join us, yes.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Right.
Okay. So, my first question, as we talk about facing challenges together, what challenges we are facing right now in managing the early years kids these days, and how can we? I mean, can we have a 360-degree overview on it? And the question is open to both the panelists right now. We can start from Wasabi.
See, the situation right now, as we all know, is such that the schools are closed and all the education institutions are closed. It's about 1.3 to 1.5 billion students who are at home at this point of time because of the global pandemic, and since they are all now into, in their houses. So it's kind of affecting us in a very profound manner, but yet there is a bright side to it, because we always as we all know that we need to kind of upgrade and change ourselves as and when it is needed, so as and when the time demands. So now is the time where we have suddenly, there's a transition from a one-on-one learning to a global a virtual platform. And this transition, I can see that the educators are really doing their bit to connect to students, to connect to families, because families are now major support, because we don't, with early years, particularly with children who are like coming to a preschool, they definitely need the help and support of the families in order to foster learning in this time of uncertainties. And that is the learning scenario. And overall, the situation that is there, the fear, the anxiety that is already in people is actually, kind of trickling down even to the younger little ones who are around us. So that, in fact, is also impacting them in some way or the other. And as educators, as, counselors, because we also kind of counsel our parents from time to time, we have to look at it from a different angle. So I now, put it out to Jaya, so Jaya can just add on to this, right?
So, yes, to continue with what Dr. Acharya rightly mentioned to us, there definitely has been an impact, a huge impact. She has spoken about the challenges that in today's time we have to deal with. I feel these situations that we are in today's time are definitely unprecedented ones, not just for the children, but for my generation, for my previous generation, and probably the generation before that.
Yeah.
The lockdown is a reality, the helplessness is a reality, and the bigger reality is the transition. The transition which will require us to move from the old normal that we were all used to a new normal, which still seems like uh, something so unpredictable, just as this pandemic was. So the impact has been on the children and on all of us in various ways. It is definitely mental. It has psychological impacts. It has moral, social, all sorts of impacts that one can go through in such times where nobody knew how it happened, what's going to happen in the future, and how to deal with it. If I could just simply point out few of the main impacts that the children have been facing in this period, is first of all related to the family systems. There are words that the children must be hearing for the first times at home, like job loss, pay cuts, layoffs from jobs. They may also be witnessing things which they are not meant to see, but those are harsh realities at home. There could be
Yes.
homes with cases of domestic violence, with
Yeah.
abuses of all sorts. Children might be getting abused themselves.
True.
There may be situations where the children stay with a big family in a very little accommodation, little space in the house, lack of gadgets, on top of that being expected to learn online. So the system, the relationships are having an impact, because when everyone was busy with their own worlds in their jobs and spending some time at home, getting some limited time to spend with each other, the fabric was a little different. Now everyone being cooped up in the little space 24/7, they are getting to see the real scenario, whether it is relationship between their parents, it is
Yeah.
relationship of parents with their grandparents, it is with the extended family, it is with their friends. So the
True.
reality is coming out, and the reality may not always be very beautiful and rosy as the children like to believe. So it may have some positive impact if the family structure has been very, very positive. that
Yeah.
can that can impact the child in a positive way, giving hope, giving sense of love and being loved and being cared for. Whereas if the situation is different, it's the negative type, there the child can feel anxiety, fear, can feel abandoned, can feel lonely. And basically loneliness is one of the feelings that the children are going through at this times, because children are more used to speaking to their friends, sharing their feelings with their teachers. They are more comfortable in expressing everything to them.
Yeah.
And because all the more the parents are busy with their own challenges to deal with, so children are feeling so lonely. So the family structure is having an impact. The way the families are behaving is having a deep impact. They are not having their social exposure which they are used to with their friends, teachers, etc. Then there is a premature fear of loss and death, which they may see in the neighborhood, which they may just hear about on news, which they may probably experience even in their own homes, whether it is because of corona or it is because of any other reason. But there is so much of talk of loss and death. So this is something which a small child's mind is not trained to get
Prepared. Yeah.
acquainted with, or to is prepared to deal with. In fact, it is said that there is a cycle of grief, which is from denial to acceptance, and in between a person goes through depression and whatnot. But a child
Yeah.
is not having that scope. The child is being bombarded with all this, with no preparation and with nobody to support or guide or to provide emotional support, as the social connections are lost. And if this is happening in the family itself is a part of
Mhm.
this trauma. So they also cannot extend that much needed emotional support or the moral support that a child would need. Then sitting
True.
at home all the time, not being allowed to go out, which is so against a child's nature, is leading to anxiety, it's leading to boredom, it's somewhere leading to bottling up of their emotions. So children are also getting irritable. They're getting irritated very easily, they're getting angry. So age wise you would be seeing different behaviors, whether it is for toddlers or it is the little older ones, pre-teens and teens. So at every age they are trying to devise their own defense mechanisms, coping mechanisms, which may not come out in a very positive way.
Right.
And I would like to just end this question here with, parents, because now the children are at home with parents. So parents have to be very conscious that the children seem to be very easy target for venting out the frustration. The adults are really frustrated these days for various reasons, whether it is financial, it is logistical, or it is anything relationship wise. So what happens is they unknowingly or knowingly vent out their frustration on children, and which is leading to a lot of trauma for children. And let us not always over exaggerate the importance of schools. I'm the principal of a school, but at the same time, I believe that family plays a bigger role. So,
Yeah.
the sense of personality, the sense of identity for a child, the sense of confidence basically comes from home. So I think the family structure, the environment, culture that we are maintaining at this moment when the children are not able to come out of the house is very, very important. And it's a big challenge because it is having such a huge impact as we just discussed.
True, ma'am. I just take this point and very, very true point. And now we have Adobe Minuki with us. Let us just welcome her. Hi, Adobe.
Hi, I hope you can hear me.
Hello, Adobe.
Hi, Adobe.
Hi, thank you.
I just give a brief introduction of Adobe to all the panelists here and all the audiences here. We have Adobe Minuki, who is an experienced early years practitioner and founder of Solid Schools, Nigeria. We welcome you, Adobe.
Thank you, Yati and ACDF. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Coming to Adobe, my next question is for you. When you say that the world is changing for us, for our children even more, things are so unpredictable currently, and this uncertainty can lead to fear and insecurity. What, according to you, how can we help them feel more secure in this particular time? And how can we help them work through nervous feelings and manage their anxiety? Over to you, Adobe.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Yati.
Thank you.
Actually, for the past few weeks, we have been on the lockdown and we are all stressed out. As much as the adults are, the children are also. It's even worse on them because they are really immature minds and they cannot really express how they are feeling. So sometimes you see this stress, anxiety, fear coming into their behavior. They tend to shift because they don't know how to express what they are feeling right now. So everything tends to happen in their own behavioral ways. Now, we as adults who can control our minds and our emotions, is left for us to help them in the little ways we can so that they feel safe and ease off the fear a bit. So there are simple ways, what things that we can do are like trying to talk about the pandemic with them. Yes, you can bring them together, sit down and discuss about the pandemic in a very honest way. Like you're saying, I know because obviously the news is everywhere and they can hear it. Do you understand? So you have to call them and say, yes, I know people, we can see that people are really very sick this time and we are all stuck and holed up at homes and people are not going out, people are dying. So you can simply start saying to them that, yes, reassuring them that irrespective of all these things happening, that there are guidelines, there are rules that can help us not fall a victim of such things. As we are at home together, we are at home right now, we cannot contact it. When mommy or daddy wants to step out, they put on their nose mask. With that, they cannot contract illness. Washing your hands regularly. Yes, when you want to sneeze, use your elbows. Don't just sneeze out like that. In that way, yes, they now understand, oh, really? This means that there are ways that I can actually prevent this from happening to me. They have a lot of thoughts on their head, like you need to make sure that there is a communication between them and their loved ones, their peers, teachers, probably friends, grandparents and all that, when they video chat with those people, they know that those people are safe, right? Yes,
Right, right.
everybody is safe, and it will help them to ease off the tension of, because they're really thinking, are we safe? Are you sure we are not going to contract this illness? What if we contract it? What happens to us? Is grandma safe there, or what happens to my friends? But when they are seeing, like I'm talking to you, I know Yati, you're feeling okay. Dr. Vanzavi is okay. So I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
But when you limit them to staying here, no communications and all that, it makes it all worked up and stressed up for them. And it increases the
True, very
fear
true.
and the anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay, you can give them more engagement. Yes, let them not be bored this time around. They need to be more engaged. Find out things around the house that they can do, like helping you to cook, sweeping the house, gardening, outdoor things, things that they can do outside, things that will make them that at every given time they are busy, they don't have to sit down at one place or just staring at the screen for too long, because we are all at home. Right now, you
True.
can create a structure for the house where, now everybody, the lockdown has caused a lot of things that is as if we don't even know our left from right again. You just stay, you wake up at any time, you sleep at any time, you eat at any time. You're even confused, you don't even know what you're doing. But
True.
when you create a structure, for the house, a routine, we now know, yes, there can be little altars here and there, but it will help to guide us. Like, this is sleeping time. This is the time to wake up and pray to God. This is the time for snack. This is the time to join the online sessions from the school, a lot of things and all that. Now, another thing is creating this, should I say, connections with your children. Yes, you need to create a connection with them at this moment. You can have a family bonding time. This is the only opportunity we have. We may never have it anytime again. Yes, so that time you can just drop your phones, give them your undivided attention. It could last for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Yes, we can discuss about how I met your daddy. We
Yeah,
can
of
discuss
course.
about yes, we can discuss about part of the things they did when they were so little. Maybe like, I was trying to remove your diaper and you peed on my face, something to ease off. Yes, to make everything fun for them. Yes, so because they look towards us for this confidence, for safety, to ease off the anxiety. And when we push them at that hiding corner, it makes it all worse for them. Do you understand? Yes, we
Yeah.
can actually, because right now too, everybody is panicking, but adults you can control to an extent. So in as much as they are in this hold up at home for a very long time, a lot of things are going on through their head. And since they're going to be having some behavioral changes, it is time for us to work on their positive discipline. Yes,
Right.
you need to work on discipline right now, because they cannot really express how they are feeling, right? Yes.
Right, right.
And yes, so you will see them trying to throw tantrums or doing some things that you'll be like, what's this? Where is this coming from? So times that this happens, the simple things that you can do is to call the child, and talk to them, talk about that behavior, and find ways to make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. Then for the good ones, you have to keep praising them. You can even reward them with probably their preferred kind of meal, and some other, maybe you can have time to play outdoor at this moment and all that, or a gist time with mommy, or a special reading and bed story time, anything at all that they would want. So I think with that, it's going to help ease off a bit. I don't know. Yeah, that's
True.
what I
That's a
can say.
very insightful answer with all the areas being covered so beautifully. And I hope Wasavi and even Jaya ma'am agree to it. most of the points were
Yes.
covered, and we are
Yes,
very,
of
very
course.
impactful.
Yes.
Coming to you, Vasavi, if we say that the student-teacher relationship, if we talk about, that is the heart of education. So how can we set out to make the digital teaching and learning successful during this particular time of social distancing?
Yes, Yati, thanks for the question. See, when we talk about a preschool, basically we look at experiential learning, where learning happens through, hands-on
Yeah,
experiences. We build up, places in the school where they come, they explore, they assess outcomes, and that is the main ethos of our way of teaching. We basically follow the play way or the project approaches, and we take forward our classes. Now, what happened is there's a sudden transition to an online platform, and this has been a little, daunting for even the early childhood educators, because these children who are from 2 years up to 6+ years find it probably a little difficult than the
yes,
elderly children to sit and concentrate on a class that is given on a virtual platform. Number one.
right.
Number two, it is not also very, very, conductive to make them sit on a virtual platform all the time. So what we need to do is we need to bring the, in other words, we can just say get the kindergarten home in a different way through collaborating with the parents in the
Yeah,
process. So
Yes,
what
that's
I
good.
would suggest is basically if we can keep the virtual meetings a little shorter, because when it comes to grown ups,
Yeah.
when it comes to children who are going to class 4 or 5 or something, they're having regular classes. So what we can do, like Adobe had said, 30 minutes of classes or 20-25 minutes of virtual classes, where we can divide them into smaller groups, probably where everybody gets a chance to interact, talk, and then the educator also understands the need of the child. That is important. I would also suggest that at this time, at this period when they are just free, barely, they should not have a pressure to attend the classes. It should be more voluntary. It should not be, attendance. You have to be present. Oh, you missed this class. Nothing like that. Let them be, more spontaneous in coming and going out, of the classes whenever they feel like. So we have to be flexible as educators. We have to
hmm,
develop that skill. Then we can also suggest parents to make small videos and assignments and all of that that we would give and submit to us, so that at some point when we are again in the next virtual class, that can be shown, so that they get they get motivated by the other student what they are doing, and they can share and have a great time on the virtual platform.
yeah. The
Another
sense of
way.
visibility, maybe. Yeah,
Yes, yes. And then there is this, we have to give them an alternative to the screen space. So what we
yeah,
can do is, because we learn through hands-on, like I would just say that most of the schools are following thematic approach, or you follow a lesson plan where
yeah,
you are doing, a specific theme or certain things for that month, certain areas you're touching. So probably we can give them some some assignments or projects that they can involve themselves with anything that is available in the house related to that theme or the topic. So that way, and then these videos, like I said, can be uploaded about what they did and how they did, and that would be more taking out the lessening the screen space time in a good manner. Also, I would so families now are a major support in terms of when we are teaching in early years. Basically, the parent is a major support, and they are helping us in delivering our curriculum and the lessons. So that is very important, and we have to be considerate, because the lessons and these classes are not what the parents are thinking about all the time, because there are a lot of challenges. Now Jaya has already pointed out the different challenges we are having at this point of time.
yeah,
So as educators, we need to be considerate. If some assignments are not submitted or something, it should not be a big deal.
yeah,
Anything can come up later also. Also, we have to see one more thing, which is the relationship of teachers, educators in the school, who are now not, in touch because the schools are all closed. So we can, they can also get together, through this online medium. They can talk to each other, they can plan lessons, they can, collaborate and come up with something, some good ideas, which that can be shared in the virtual platform with the students. So this relationship building, which is very becoming critical, because as we are socially distancing ourselves, we are also becoming a kind of, probably recluse. I think a lot of people will also start to become recluse with a period of time, because we are all in our own, in our own screen space, in our own lives, kind of, So
Yeah.
this relationship building with be is another thing that can be done. And music and exercise. I believe that we should start our classes, every day morning. The first part should be a lot of music and fun, so that children naturally come drawn into this virtual learning, because after all,
Yeah.
learning sometimes looks terrible. Oh, ma'am is going to give us some assignment and things. So it should become fun. Also, there is a transition, like we said, to the online learning process. So some of the educators may be facing some difficulty. They are really doing a great job, but still there are some who are not really equipped, and they were not, because we are now in the coping and the recovery stage. We were not prepared also, the nations who have not got into this, they can be prepared. We were not even prepared. We suddenly came, and now we are in the coping and the recovery stage. So I would suggest that those teachers who are not so much tech savvy can take the support of other educators, because they might feel inadequate, that, oh my God, I'm not able to deliver. My students are not able to, really, they're not learning so much and XYZ because I'm not so equipped. No, it's nothing like that. They can come as a team. They can, help each other, collaborate, and give children the lessons that are designed in that manner, so that there's a lot of interaction, lot of fun. In the parents, I would say, and the parents, actually, I would want to thank the parents, because they are really doing their bit, to get their children into the online platform. They're really doing, and I think it's a concerted effort now. And I
Mm.
think we as educators, as parents, as children, we are all together. We are all in one kind of right, Yati.
Right, right. So we have one question also from our audience, that there's a lot of conflict between parents and children regarding the screen time. So they want some few tips to solve it.
May I
See this?
answer? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, please
Jaya,
go
you
ahead.
take that, Jaya.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I understand is conflict between parents and children. So I think that is a little confusing, because is it about the conflict between the difference in opinion? Is it because of the difference in opinion between how much time should be given as per the child and as per the parent? What I would suggest is, yes, screen time definitely must be controlled,
Yeah.
and the teachers here would play a very important role. We have to see that the periods are of shorter duration. There is enough of break given between periods. Also, the activities that they expect children to do after the classes, the kind of assignments that they want them to do, should be more hands-on and more real life based, rather than again requiring some more research, sitting on the internet or solving or typing things and preparing PowerPoint presentations. Yes, we understand teachers might also not think of these things, because this is happening for the very first time. So
Yeah.
let us give a benefit of doubt to teachers as well, and also believe and trust that they are also learning it out of experience for the first time. They will also modify their methods, but at the same time be more compassionate. So yes, Miss Anjana, your question is correct, that the screen time is a concern, but let us try and keep it to a minimum level, at least for after the classes. Also, during the classes, let us keep shorter duration. And Dr. Acharya already said, we have to be more compassionate when it comes to attendance. Because I have spoken during the first question, that the situations at home are not very conducive, in many cases. So there could be reasons for children, that is lack of gadgets, lack of a conducive environment, positive environment or support, for
Right.
whatever reasons. I'm not blaming parents. I'm the one who feels that the parents are the partners with schools. So we also understand, this is with great empathy that I'm saying it, and with great compassion, that parents may not also be in the right frame of mind to provide the kind of support that the children need. So let us be compassionate. And at the same time, I would also use this platform to appeal and urge to the parents that be compassionate towards the teachers. In fact, teachers are going through the same kind of uncertain period that you all are going through.
Exactly.
And despite having that, they are striking a balance between their personal responsibilities at home as well as professional responsibilities as teachers. And when they come for an online class, they have to ensure that they come with that smile, they put aside all their fears and worries aside and are just connecting with their children in the way that a teacher is always expected to be, that is hopeful, that is reinforcing the child's confidence, boosting their morale. So it's a very difficult task to do. I'm not even going into the academics. I'm not even going into the technology used for teaching. I'm not going into the technology used for assessments. This is much more than that. So in today's time, the socio-emotional skills have become more important. So Miss
More important,
Anjana,
right.
it's not about the screen time. If suppose we could teach in such a way which would require the child to even hold the pencil and write on paper, they need not constantly look on the screen. So rather than asking them to always type in the type in the chat box, sorry, they can be asked to write it, and you can just see if they have written. And let us not be too strict taskmasters that you have to do it and you have to show me. So just be compassionate, trust your children. When the time is right, they'll be able to do. Just be appreciate that they are still with you. You know, the situation is very bad. They're still with you. They love you. And this is how we will have to somewhere control the screen time,
Right.
during the class also as well as after the class.
True, ma'am.
And yes, while framing your timetable, you have to see that it is age appropriate. So I would suggest around 1 hour, 1.5 hour throughout the day, and again for this for the pre-primary, and it can go on to 2 hours in primary and 3 to higher grades, etc. So the parents will also have to see that they cut down on the screen time for other things,
Right.
like watching of TV or watching anything on internet. They will have to cut down there.
Yeah.
So by
Anavi, would you like to add on something?
Yes, yes, please. Thank you, Yati, for the opportunity again. Screen time, is something that we can't stop talking about as educators. Yes, and we understand that parents are really passing through a lot of frustration at this time, and they are using the screen to um, avoid the whole stress of the children being around them for too long and all that. But I remember sometime I had to put something about the ways we are all putting our children onto the screen on LinkedIn, and I had some people argue over it and all that. Yes, I know that you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, that there are a lot of things you need to do at home. But remember, that's your child, and you are the first teacher. Every parent is the first teacher to the child. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, what happens to the teacher? So you need to take up the responsibility. The first things that we as parents need to do is to get ready. Yes, since the pandemic has happened, it has happened. So you need to adjust yourself.
True.
Adjust yourself. Yes, give your child what the child needs. Screen is good. Yes, we are not doubting that. But it needs to have a limit, and it must be age appropriate.
Right.
It has to be age appropriate. Yes. Keeping them long on screen will not even make what they have to learn to be better than what they would have done with their hands. Now, we are facing this pandemic together today. We don't even know what we are going to be facing in the nearest future. It may not be this. We don't even know the type of technology that we are going to be expecting in the future. It may not be this one that we are using right now. Probably Zoom may be outdated, other things may be outdated. And who are those that are going to develop all this? The children. So being on the screen is not even going to help. So when we are talking about future-oriented education, what we are talking about is trying to make sure that the child is using his whole body movement, the child is using his whole hands, the child is being creative and innovative. And that can only happen when you allow them to explore their environment. It could be very distracting to you as a parent sometimes, but you can have a time. The other time I talked about giving them at least 30 minutes of your own divided attention. Just create is a sacrifice that you're making for the child of the future. So at that moment, you can create different types of puzzles for your child. If you can, the problem we have is not being creative as parents. Yes, I think that is the main issue, because if you feel that you want your child not disturbing you, when you create some things, that will engage them, you won't even see them around you, because they will be so engrossed in that particular, trying to solve or fix that problem that you have given them. Yeah, I created something for my child some time ago, like I pasted, and she was trying to fix it, and she did not even remember that I was existing, and I have my own time to myself. She can only call me when she needs my help.
True.
And you know, when you're trying to create something, you don't even need somebody to distract you too. So as a child, they don't even need your distraction at that particular time, because they're trying to solve a problem. So you see,
Right.
so I think the first and foremost thing is us as parents trying to be creative. You can use a lot of things around the house to create puzzles for the child. Like my younger child, I could write on the tiles for him, and he's jumping, identifying, and creating a lot of things. For the older ones, you can give them some kind of, let's say, use your Lego to build something. You know, when they are doing all these things, they don't even need the screen. And the time they are going to spend in using their hands-on activity is even more than what they're going to be on the screen, learning absolute nothing.
True, true.
So I think it's from us as parents and educators first, to make sure that we are creative to hold the children enough not to distract us. So I think that is what I have to say. So parents need to be creative with the things at home to engage the children, rather than keeping them on the screen for too long, which may actually come in, like me. All through the pandemic, I noticed that I started having sleeping disorders, because I was actually spending a lot of time on the screen. So I don't even know, and I was eating a lot. It made me add a lot of weight, because I have to stay longer and I have to throw in a lot of things into my mouth to keep me engaged. But if I was doing something, probably I'm with the children and I'm saying, okay, arrange the red colors. Can you sort it? Can you throw it in the water? I'm engaged with them, and I'm not even thinking of what to eat.
Right, right. I think we got the answer. I think we got the answer that we want to have it more age appropriate, and we have the parents need to be more creative when it comes to
May I
this
add something?
timing.
Yati?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the school part, can I add something here?
Yes, yes, please.
So, you know, even in the online classes, see, I was happy to hear that there was a lot of input for the parents from Adobe. And I've been mostly thinking from the school's point of view, and I would actually like to add more to that.
Yeah.
So what I feel is it's important for schools also to ensure that the online classes are not just academic by nature completely. They need to involve lessons on values and life skills, where the parents also might get involved. Like a child might have to work at home to develop some life skill. They might have to discuss at home with the family to understand that life skill and apply that in life. They may also be asked to take happy breaks. This is what I have tried to introduce in my staff, and requested them to follow it in their classes. So, you know, asking a child to just go out for 2 minutes stroll, just, or maybe within the house, you can't go out, I'm sorry, and please don't do that. So, you know, within your room or whatever space is available, just get up, stretch yourselves. Having physical health classes also is something which can help you. So even though the screen is there, the screen is on, but the teacher would say, okay, now stretch your hands and do this 5 times, without looking at the screen. The child is not looking at the screen, and there can be such breaks. A happy break can also be more personal in nature. Like if somebody has got a younger baby at home, brother or sister, just show it on the screen, show it to everybody. It brings that emotional connect.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, anything which is bringing that fun moment and that real human element, because that has become very, very difficult, because touch is such an integral part of communication for humans. And that social distancing, and now this distancing completely, you know, physically, has created that impact on the relationships, and hence we need to depend on more such transactions, such communications which bring out emotions.
True,
Yes,
ma'am.
Jaya, to add
Thank
to
you.
this, Yati, I would add to this, we have to be actually very mindful also about what we are doing, what we are saying, and the messages that we are giving out, of fear or anxiety. Because when we are commenting, when we comment near a child who is sitting next to us in the dining table, in a common area, and we are talking about negative things like death, like this, that, they take this world, they absorb it as something, which is not reliable, something that is more scary. So I think we have to be very mindful about the messages we are giving out in a covert and an overt way, whether we show, whether we are speaking it out or we display that fear, within us. So even that is important. Second, I feel that because of the gadgets, because of phone, or because of our classes or the assignments XYZ that follows, a class and all, sometimes students don't even get the time to really uh, sit and have quality time with their parents, nor the parents have, because they are also working from home. I think they can plan out some time, that let's cook together, like Adobe had added, how we can plan some quality time. Because now I see that they're all together, but everybody is in their own world, probably in the same room, but nobody's connecting to each other per se, you don't have that connection. So there should be some, I think, conscious activities that should be done by the parents along with the children to create that feeling of security. Because now the children do not have any other feeling of security, because they are also not so close to their friends anymore because of the physical barriers that they have. Probably they just call up on the phone once, or over the call. So who are the people who are giving you support? So here the parents are there, your grandparents, whoever is in the house. I think there should be some kind of conscious effort to connect, to release your fears. Even children have the fear, so if they come up with a question, we should be ready to answer. Plus, these fears, they should be allowed to share. It should not be, hush hush, don't say this. So they also leave out their stress in that manner. So I think there is a lot of give and take, and cooperation, collaboration, working together. And I think we are working towards it, moving towards it, gradually, because we are only 3 months into this pandemic, without any without
And
any
there's so many changes at the
without
same
any
time.
notification. We did not get a legal notice like we get, when we are ready for something. So there was no notice to us, served to us, and we suddenly, we were in this situation. And I think, yes, we are doing pretty good, but now it is a time to really plan it out, plan and do, like Jaya had said about the school scenario, the entire thing, how we can do classes, how we need to be more, cooperative towards the educators. The educators should be more understanding with the parents. Similarly, Adobe said about the home environment. So it goes like that. I think we are trying to build that faith and trust in our children through whatever we are doing. And maybe we can go wrong at times, but it's a process of learning and relearning, and unlearning at times, and again relearning. So it keeps going on that way.
Yeah. So when you talk about the changes which are occurring during this COVID-19, Jaya ma'am, my question is to you that building the confidence seems a daunting task right now. And, how can educators help elevate that worry and build the resilience and confidence in this post-COVID thing when the school will reopen? And can it be like this? Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. So what I understand is that you are saying in these times of worries and fear and anxiety, how we will be able to build confidence and resilience in our children and give them hope. So it's a beautiful question. And when we talk of fear and anxiety, I would say these times have made everyone realize that there is a great sense of vulnerability in everyone, not just children, but us. We all feel helpless and vulnerable because we have come to realize this harsh reality that no one has the cure to everything. No one has a solution to everything. The doctors don't have a cure to corona as of now. This is just an example.
Actually.
It's an example for little children to understand that the world, which always seemed to be hopeful and rosy to them, where they always believe that a doctor always has a cure, is no longer the case. So these feelings are having a deep impact on children, and yes, that is what is creating. They would feel insecure in such situations when they hear of loss and deaths in their families and neighborhood. And parents going through situations of salary cuts, or financial constraints, or whatever, relationships getting strained. We hear of cases of divorces now. We hear
Yeah.
of domestic violence is on the rise. This is what is happening in India. And
It's really,
and the children, the rate of children being abused has also gone higher. So
Yes, of course.
yes, so all this is causing that stress, anxiety, fear, and vulnerability in children. What we as educators can do is, first of all, understand that mental health and mental hygiene has to take the priority for school leaders and educators. I know there are other things which seem to be very important on the agenda of schools, like examinations, like syllabus, whether to cut the syllabus, how to plan the curriculum after the pandemic is over, and what to do with the financial constraints that the schools are facing with parents not able to pay the fees on time, etc. These may seem to be the topmost concerns, but
Concern.
no, the concern of everybody's mental health, including the teachers and the parents, everyone's mental health and mental hygiene should be the priority. And I would urge all the educators to put everything else as a second or third priority, but keep this as the top one. And this would require teachers to become much more compassionate listeners, non-judgmental in their approach towards parents, towards children, allowing children to express without having a fear of being judged, creating an environment where everyone can empathize with each other, appreciating even a little task, designing tasks which are easy and which the child can achieve, praising them whenever there is an opportunity, and even when there is no opportunity,
No question.
create it
True,
and
true, ma'am.
identify it. So giving them tasks which they have chosen. So once you uh, make their own decisions, that confidence will come up, that self-esteem will build up. You can use this time to also become self-disciplined. When you expect them to follow a timetable on their own, create a timetable apart from online classes. Also make use of technology. There are certain apps called habit trackers. There are apps for which help you prepare your to-do lists. There are 21 days challenges. It is said that
Yeah.
any habit can be uh, made,
Formed in 21 days.
can be
Yeah.
formed in 21 days. Now we have got multiples of 21 days in this pandemic during the lockdowns. So
Yeah.
it's up to the educators and the parents together to get children into these kind of habits that they would like to form,
Yeah.
with the consent of the child, obviously asking the child which area of their personality they would like to work upon, and
Exactly.
supporting them. Also being available online as well as offline, keeping communications more open, more frequent, and most important is being very very sensitive, being so alert that even a little change in the child's behavior,
Should
you
be
should be
noticed.
able to identify that and provide the support, or allow for a professional support to be provided for the child. Create such a scope for a professional to get into the picture, whether
True.
it is by convincing the parent, talking to the parent, convincing to the school authorities. But teachers will have to become very very sensitive and compassionate in this area.
Compassionate. True, ma'am.
So school counselors can help, but I feel the biggest counselors are their own teachers who understand a child.
Yes.
The biggest part of counseling is simply patient listening. So
I agree, ma'am.
child wants somebody to listen. The parents themselves are the biggest counselors, the best counselors anybody can have.
Yeah.
So I feel you can create stories, because storytelling is the best way to make up a child's mind. You can create stories which show how the different characters face challenges and emerge out as resilient warriors. So when the child hears of such stories which are realistic and relatable, the child would have the hope and faith that I will also be able to get over this. So that,
True, true, ma'am.
so assignments can be with children's choice. Be a little liberal with the submission dates, and don't be too critical of their work. Appreciate, because they are facing a lot of negativity, which is self-generated. It's not that it's happening in the environment, but they themselves are not able to cope up with this environment so easily. So we need to be very supportive, and I think, yes, we together as educators, along with the support of our parents, will be able to do it.
Yes, ma'am. For sure.
Thank you, Yati.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful answer. I think we have got all the answers which we wanted for this particular session, and we almost covered all the areas related to the challenges, related to the answers to the challenges which are facing right now. And do we have any further questions from the audience?
Yati, I would also like to add that
Yes, ma'am.
the schools need to be prepared to handle all the challenges of hygiene and health as well. And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sure everyone
When
is
it
worried about.
reopens,
Yes,
when
and
the
they have
school
to.
reopens,
The
yes, they
plan
have
has
to be
to be
all.
very comprehensive plan. Yes, they have to be all prepared to handle the health and hygiene matters,
Yeah,
and also have to communicate very well and train the children, the parents, and the staff very well about it,
Staff very well.
and
Everybody
follow the
has to be
protocols.
trained. Yeah, there should be
yeah,
a basic protocol
Yes,
that needs to be
follow.
followed. So
true.
and it would be even great if the government comes up with a protocol for all the schools.
I think it's
Uh,
time for schools also to start preparing for themselves, because
for
Yeah,
themselves.
it has to be
Yes,
contextual in nature. What applies to a school in South Bombay may not apply to a school somewhere in the village of Kolhapur. So even if
right.
it is
right.
it's the state government of Maharashtra planning for it, giving some protocols,
Still, there'll be discrepancies, but
specific
yeah,
rules.
but at least if the government is a little stricter as regards, you have to do these
Right.
specific things besides the others that you can add on to your needs as per what is required in your area and stuff. But basic things, because many a times some schools may take it very lightly, and because we are risking, the entire student community, the teachers, and all of that. So I think there should be some guidelines coming up and then
I,
adding to it.
right,
Yeah.
you're right. But I think it's a little unlikely that the schools would take it lightly. I think everyone is very
Not now,
serious
not
about
now.
it.
Yeah.
And
I
because
mean,
parents are also equally concerned, or maybe more concerned.
so
So,
I'm actually talking about not the schools in the cities, in the urban areas, like
right,
schools that
right.
we run, but generally, because there
Lack
are a
of
lot of government
information.
schools. Yes,
Yes,
there are a lot of government schools, and also schools
right,
include the entire school thing. And when we
right.
are looking at the schools at where we go and our children go, definitely they are more equipped, they are
True.
infrastructurally more adequate.
Yes,
But when we are looking at children, we are looking at children in a greater perspective, I
yes,
mean, overall perspective.
true.
So I think then it matters, because if they come up with these, that day we had a
Of
talk,
course, that is
generally,
definitely needed. That is needed,
yeah,
definitely needed.
because they have to be kind of, there should be some scrutiny on those schools as well, which are run by the government, or in the villages,
Yeah,
or in the
mostly the
slum areas,
Anganwadis, I think they need the most of
Anganwadis
the
and the
trainings.
slums. Yeah,
Yeah,
those,
So the training not only for online classes, but for how to be prepared for
yes,
handling
absolutely.
the sanitary
yeah,
issues,
right.
the sanitization of the school, how the social distancing, the rules and regulations to be followed for that,
Yeah,
Right, right,
and how
absolutely.
everyone in the staff has to follow, whether it is for now transportation or within the classroom while having meals. There have to be very
Yes.
precise and
Because they are also giving the midday
rules.
meals and all, right? They are giving the
yeah,
midday meals. Here we are,
Very true.
yeah, children are either carrying their own tiffins, or the school are providing very good, hygienically prepared food. But there they are doing the midday meal. So I think, there's a responsibility in terms of understanding whether they are also doing the things properly, because those children are also at risk at times. So
yeah,
yes, I
Very
think,
true. And I think also it will ask for understanding of the need to develop your social emotional competence more than ever, because the
right.
teacher is wearing a mask, all the children are wearing a mask, and we were so used to looking at facial expressions and understanding whether the child got the concept or not. This is how the teacher,
yeah,
by herself repeats certain things,
right.
and she understands if the child is in some pain, has some struggles. So now they have to be so conscious and alert to even understand just by looking at the eyes of the children and the body language, which is another skill. I feel none of the B.Ed degrees in India have taught that. That just by looking at eyes, how you're going to do that. So it's a big task, but I have
And
always believed and trusted teachers, and I'm sure they will be able to do this also
Sure, sure.
superbly.
yes, and the
Hi,
mask is,
Jaya.
in fact, it's
Uh,
kind of,
um,
it kind of suffocates you also.
Yes,
So
of course.
delivering through the mask,
It is
and,
going to be difficult.
actually, yeah, it's a challenge, big time.
It cuts off the oxygen supply also
Yeah,
to a
I
considerable
mean,
extent. So the teachers would face difficulty in
difficult.
delivering, wearing it.
okay. Hi, Jaya. So,
Hi, Dr.
um, saying, talking about the children coming back wearing their nose mask and all that. Okay, now I'm talking about from the preschool point of view. I'm a teacher, educator in the preschool section. So how do you think I'm going to look at, let's say, you're in the public school and you're handling them. So you have about, let's say, like 20 to 25 pupils in your class. How do you
Right.
want to manage looking at their eyes to be able to know when a child is struggling and when a child is not struggling? Actually, I saw a protector entirely, not just like the nose mask. I noticed that some schools, I saw someone from Taiwan saying that they have table divider now. So something is actually covering your face. So your teacher is standing in the front and this is me, the child, and my face is entirely covered to avoid every contact of this coronavirus. And then when you're coming to school in the morning, the temperature scanner is used on you. Now, what happens when we're in classroom and the child needs to go to the toilet, a child needs to pick up his pencil, because I'm sure definitely my pencil is going to fling from my chair to the next person's chair. And I would want to take a coloring or something, eraser, or I'm looking for, and they would definitely jump from me to you. So how do you want me as a classroom teacher taking care of those 20 children to be able to focus and teach them, and yet look at their eyes only this time around to understand that, oh, you are not following what I am teaching you? Because that's going to be ridiculous.
Yes, that's true. So, Adobe, I completely relate to you. In fact, you have actually resonated my own worries. And I'm sure none of the school principals have got a solution to it, but we are all definitely looking towards making it as easy and conducive as possible for our children. And like you said, 25 children in a class, I'm sure with social distancing coming into picture, we won't be able to have 25 students at one go together in
Right.
class. So
Absolutely.
it is
Yeah.
definitely going to be blended learning when also staggered timings, or maybe a few days in the school, a few days online. So the
Yes.
planning has to be done this way so that there are limited number of children, so that there could be more contact, not the physical contact, but then otherwise you can have less number of children per class, because now you have to listen to the children without even understanding the whole body language and the expressions. So I still understand, Adobe, whatever concerns you have mentioned, they still remain our concerns, and the time will only tell how we will adapt. First of all,
Yeah. And
let us accept these challenges are going to be there,
yes. And
and
to add to it,
we'll adapt.
probably we will, yeah. And to add to it, probably we'll never be able to get rid of the online platform. We
And
will
I
just
also think,
have
why
to
should we?
keep it.
See, I feel, maybe this is my spiritual take on things. I feel what happens because there is a need for it to happen. Even in the
Yes.
past, pandemics have happened,
Yes.
True.
such scenarios have happened, and they have given a new direction, a new turn to the world. Various revolutions that have happened, they have happened after a period which was very difficult. So there was a need for it. So maybe there is a need for a new narrative to be written, new narrative for education also, just like the rest of the world. Education world also needed a new story, a new way of dealing with things. And maybe this has forced us to adapt to the new situations, which is the need of the future. So I'm taking it in a very optimistic way, that if we have learned some new skills, online has got its own benefits. Let me just tell you, I'm able to speak to these 35 participants here and meet Adobe all the way from Nigeria, and speaking to these beautiful women here. It's possible only because of this technology, this
Right.
webinar, this online
So we have to be with the
service.
online thing. Yes.
So
All
there's
the we
nothing
have to
wrong
be.
about it. Yes, it's
There's
just about finding the right ways, the right mix of everything, blend it
Right.
properly.
the right balance. When Asha said, Jaya told me about, when you are discussing this, Jaya, I just remember one thing, that there was this, on a funny note, I would say, everything changed over a period of time. Everything looked different, there was this, I don't know whether you've seen that picture. Everything looked different. Only the classroom looked similar from, ages back. only our classrooms look similar. So now I think there's going to be a change. There's going to be a paradigm shift. The paradigm shift has already happened. There's a big time transition in at such a fast pace. It's really, I mean, a different thing. We are already landing in a different space.
You're right.
Different space, yeah.
The goalposts are shifted now for the schools also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So like
absolutely.
I said, your agenda needs looking at very thoroughly. What needs prioritizing?
Right.
Education would happen, and education is life. Life is education, and what is happening to your life. Use it to your advantage. Use it for learning for life. Don't just teach physics, maths in the traditional way. Teach it from how you can relate it to today's condition. There is a lot of mathematics that you can learn from the statistics you watch on the TV related to COVID-19. Isn't that mathematics? The percentage rise, the percentage deaths, that is all mathematics. So it's possible to do it. It's all about how you think creatively and how you use it.
True.
Sorry for this.
Oh, it's so cute.
So it's a happy break.
Oh.
Okay, I hope I'm not charged for not following social distancing here. Yeah.
So I think we are almost done with all the questions and we have all the answers now, almost. And here we had a wonderful session which is an amazing panelist here. And thank you so much to each one of you for enlightening us so much on this, very important topic. And here we come to this beautiful and interesting session. And I hope that we all had a great time here, having Adobe from Nigeria, having Jaya ma'am from Mumbai, and Wasabi from Guwahati, and myself from the Pink City. I think we are all done with this particular session right now. And I know it's not yet enough to have Adobe and Jaya ma'am right now. So we'll be having them again in our conclave. On 9th and 10th of June, we'll be having Jaya ma'am and Adobe and Wasabi again for our sessions.
Thank you.
So the registrations are going on. Do register. Do not miss this opportunity. Do not miss the session of Adobe and Jaya ma'am and Wasabi, because we'll be enlightening more on more different topics. So here's all for our today's session, and hasta la vista, everyone. Stay home, stay safe, keep learning, and much love to everyone here. Yours truly, Yati.
Thank you, Yati.
Thank you, Yati. Thank you, Jaya.
Thank
Thank you,
you, Jaya.
Adobe. It was
Thank
lovely
you.
interacting, lovely having you in this platform.
Same here. And a virtual hug to all of you.
Same here. Yeah. Okay. See you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Yati.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye,
Bye,
Yati.
Adobe.
Bye, Adobe.
Bye, Yati. Thank you, ECDF. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.